It's 3 o'clock. At this time, I'm going to call to order the Pollyant Trail Management Council meeting for Wednesday, June 19, 2019, and pay our respects to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bonnie, would you like to lead us in invocation, please?
I would, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful weather. And thank you for this governing body and all the people that bring the spirit to our trail, our beautiful trail. Please watch over our communities and our families and keep a protection hand over all of us. In this we pray in your son's name, amen.
Thank you, Donnie. Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir.
Secretary Nichols.
Bruce Pearson. Here. Eric Sant.
Here.
Donnie Steele.
Here.
Aaron Watley.
Here.
Elgin Nichols here. Curtis Wright.
Here.
Mike McDonald.
Present.
Joe Frost, alternate. Absent. Maureen Helmuth, alternate. Linda Moran.
Here.
Kevin Green.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, with the exception of the Village of Oxford, and move on our agenda to approve our agenda. There is no other changes, additions, deletions. Motion is in order to approve.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor South to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. On to the consent agenda. We have the approval for the minutes of May 15, 2019 meeting and the bills in the amount of $4,927.09 and the financial reports. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion. In the consent agenda consisting of the approval of the May 15th, 2019 meeting minutes, the treasurer's report consisting of the approval of bills to be paid at $4,927.09 and receive and file financial reports for May 2019.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor McDonald to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Eric Sant.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Okay. Joe Frost absent and Maureen Helmuth absent.
Okay, that motion does carry as well. On to public comment. No comment from the public. There's none present. And we'll move on to citizen rep report. Kevin, any report for us?
No report this month.
No report this month. Okay, moving on. Manager report. Linda.
All right. Okay, let's get this set up. All right, last meeting we had a problem with some lawn waste. We did send letters to all of our offenders of lawn waste being dumped on the trail. As of today, everyone that has received a letter for the lawn waste has complied in cleaning it up. So we are doing pretty well that way. I did talk to a homeowner this week about a temporary fence he had put on trail property to keep the deer away from some plants. I said, you can do anything you want on your property, but not on ours. So he is going to move it. I will be keeping my eye on that. The SIMCOG grant, we did not apply. We weren't eligible for basically anything that we needed from them, and it just didn't work out. So we will keep our eyes open for more grant opportunities. The website is fabulous. It's up and running. I have only gotten compliments. There are a few things that we are working. Mr. McDonald and Mr. Curtis have made a list of changes and updates, and we are working on those. Michelle has sent some updates. I will be getting them over to Curtis to review. Wood Trail, Nikki Van Bloom and Steve, the engineer from the DNR, and I were out with Jerry Joel at the Wood Trail culvert failure. The repairs were done last year. They are not satisfactory. The trail is in very poor shape. Let's see if I have some list here. We'll go to the end. No, I don't. This is the repair. The repair was not done satisfactory. The material used to resurface the trail was not correct. They did not smooth the surface of the trail. They removed part of the berms when they put in the pumps that went over the edge when the washout or the culvert failure happened. The DNR has requested, as part of their agreement to use the property, that they restore it to better or the same condition. They have not. The road commission has decided that they will not do anything additional. They did relent, and they did put down some grass burlap mat down. Basically, now it looks like a slip and slide right down the 26 feet to the water's edge. If you can see, I don't know, it far up by the wood, that is actually water 26 feet at the bottom of this culvert area. Kids are using it as a slip and slide. I went over there the other day. I had to pick up tons of garbage, water bottles, pop cans, that sort of thing. It only makes it more attractive for kids to go down there. The berm has been damaged. It's not satisfactory. We're going to have to put up a fence, a guardrail. This is a liability issue for us. I mean, Curtis has seen it a couple of times. I think Mike has seen it. This is a big liability. They've taken a lot of the brush away. It's hard to see how much brush has actually been removed and how the berms are damaged here, but we're going to have to do something. Nikki Van Bloom has been in contact with the road commission. Basically, we are not going to pay them the $4,600 plus we owe them until this is resolved. Nikki is suggesting that we repair it to our satisfaction and deduct the money from the money we owe the road commission. Nothing has been finalized yet, but that was the last word. That basically we, the Pollyanna Trail, will have to repair it, and then the state will pay us the money for the repair, and whatever is left, if there is any, give it to the road commission. I was contacted by the billing department of the road commission, and the matter has been turned over to their lawyers for collection. So even though we've been in constant communication with them, telling them that we were holding payment until the repairs were done, which they have not been done. And anybody who wants to go take a real look at it, you can't miss it. So go on over and take a look. So at this time, the DNR is handling the matter. I'll keep you guys posted if anything changes. Parking lot names we'll get later on into the meeting. Let's see, Boardman Road. Because of the wet spring we've been having, people tend to park on the side of the trail. It's very wide at Boardman Road in Addison Township. They have rutted it. A couple of people have actually gotten stuck up there. I have, over the last week or so, dumped about 2 tons of 21AA limestone up there, leveled it out. It actually looks really good. There's not going to be any more rutting issue because the limestone's kind of like congealed with the mud, and now it actually looks more like a parking spot than it does the trail side. So I'm pretty happy with that. We have had some sad news. Bob Godkin has passed. He was a longtime trail supporter that lived out by Hosner. He was ill for some time. I have been contacted by his family. They would like to do a bench or something in his honor out at Hosner. We did receive from family and friends $150 in donations to the trail in his name. So I did send them thank you letters, and that was greatly appreciated. And it was kind of ironic because my husband and I had repaired a bench he had built many years ago that was out at Hosner, and it was never chained down. So this little bench would always take a little walkabout. You know, I'd find it all over the trail. Lake George, I'd find it all over. So I took it in, and we repaired it over the winter, and I took it out on a Tuesday and chained it up, and I went to his house and knocked on the door, and I left him my card, and I said, hey, I want to tell you about your bench, you know, and that we fixed it. And I got the word a couple days later that he had passed. So it was kind of ironic and kind of funny, and, you know, I wish I had an opportunity to tell him that, you know, I've been taking care and keeping an eye on his little bench, and she was having some adventures. Events on the trail. Right now we don't have any events scheduled for the trail. We have had some vandalism in Orion Township. We've had a bench broken, and we've had some railings broken out of the bridge closest to the community center. I was able to repair both pretty easily, so that's not much. I have placed cameras in the area, so hopefully we'll be able to keep our eye on it. Indianwood Road. Indianwood Road was resurfaced over the last few weeks, and the road commission took down the guardrail on the north side of Indianwood along the safety path on the north side from the parking lot to the trail. They pushed all of the debris that was at the guardrail onto the safety path and in some areas into the water on the other side and left it. I did talk to Mike Young, who is the manager of the road commission, and he said that he was aware of it and that they were going to remove it. It has, as of yesterday, not been removed. I will call him again, because it looks like that project's wrapped up, and we're left with a big mess over there. Let's see, Orion Township Library has requested an Eagle Scout project of a small pocket library be put at Clarkston Road. The Eagle Scout was not able to come tonight. He will be at our August meeting. So Beth Sheridan, who is the director of the library in Orion, contacted me, and she said he's putting several in the area, and he wanted to know if he could put one on the Pollyann. So we'll bring that back to the August meeting. Trail mowing. We got it mowed the first time over Memorial Weekend. It looked great. I probably have mowed that trail twice myself. It's really a struggle this year. It's just growing like crazy. My husband and I did purchase an offset 40-inch pull-behind mower that we've been using on the trail when we're able to get out and it's not a deluge of rain. It works great. We did it over in Orion. It really looks sharp. We've done it in Oxford. We just, it's the gator and the mower is up at Leonard right now. We tried to do it on Sunday, but it rained, so we didn't get a chance to mow it. But our new 44-inch mower offset thing really works well. You're not in danger of tipping it over when you use it like you would a zero turn or a brush hog or something like that. It just goes right over. So that worked out really great. We are working on getting our Pure Michigan logos set so we can start using those on our mailings and our website. There's some paperwork that needs to be filed. We have to be in compliance with their copyright issues, so we are working on that. So we'll get that set up and bring it back. Pathway Church, Donnie, we're going to let you talk about Pathway Church later on. Oxford Women's Club and the Pollyann Trail 5K Walk. That was June 1st, National Trail Day. We had a really good turnout. We had some really good sponsors. Several of our sponsors were out. They were very pleased with the event. They have already signed up for next year. So that was really a big win. Our net proceed was $1,467. So that's not too bad for a first year. Miscellaneous, we have ordered some paper maps. Everybody's gotten those, so they turned out very well. We have only ordered 2,500. We're going to wait in case we want to change them when we have names of the parking lots and that sort of thing. Iron Bell Fix-It Station for Clarkson Road has been ordered. As soon as we get it, we will install it. We can send it in for reimbursement. It is a reimbursement grant. We pay first, and then Iron Bell sends us the check. I have been dedicatedly working on trying to find a location for the surfacing material for the trail. I'm having a devil of a time. I'm actually meeting with an engineer on Friday from Levy Company to actually see if he can locate the quarry, the location, and the type of material we need. I just need it on hand for repairs. I can't find it. I mean, there's rumors. I've chased every rumor of its existence through 3 states and part of Canada, and I can't find it. I've contacted Paint Creek. I mean, I don't know if I'm missing something.
What do we call that? Is there like...
That's the thing. I don't know what they call it.
It's not 21 AA?
I've heard it's 22X. I've heard it's 23A. I've heard it's 23 AA. I've heard it's, I mean, every name. So I'm actually meeting with an engineer on Friday at 9:30 out at the quarry on Ray Road to see if we can't nail this down. I'm going to take him a sample. I've been getting samples from all over the state trying to figure out the right material. So far, no luck. I just need to have some yards on it so when I get the gopher holes and the muskrat holes and culvert repairs, so I can just take it and deal with it. So we can start with our little slideshow presentation here. We've got a little, I'll start at the beginning. For our naming, we did take some pictures of our parking lots. We have Clarkston, we have Indianwood.
Linda, let's wait till the agenda
Okay,
item for that.
so we'll go down here to the last item on our thing, encroachments. We, over Memorial Weekend, a homeowner on Wood Trail installed stairs on the trail. The one on the left was the one I discovered first part of June, right after Memorial Day, where you can still see the brush and everything here. He started to create it. I talked to Curtis about it. We did send him a letter. He had 5 days to remove it. I talked to him on the 10th of June, and he said, "Well, how long do I have to remove it?" And I said, I'll be reasonable. I'm not an unreasonable person. I understand. I gave him 14 days. As you can see in photo number 2, not only has it not been removed, it's been further cleared. The next photo, he is cut probably 80%. Would you say, Curtis? You saw it yesterday.
Yeah, he's cut quite a bit.
80% of the
all,
yeah.
just in the trail.
Yeah, and he's just 80% of the brush that is from his property line on our property. He has cut, and as you can see, left it. This is the same homeowner I spoke with last fall. He did the same thing. I actually talked to the gentleman, and I said, you can't do that. Nothing can go on, over, or under the trail without permission. He said, well, the standard line, nobody uses the trail, nobody takes care of the trail, da-da-da. I said, well, it's not your property, it has to be cleared up. He did clear the area. I did talk to him last fall, and he said, okay, I got it. So I thought the matter was taken care of, but then we get this and this. So we did send him a letter. The 24th is the 14 days. I did talk to the Oakland County Sheriff, and basically, this is not an ordinance issue. This is a civil matter. We can either pursue it through civil court without a lawyer. It's the equivalent of a small claims civil court situation. We have to document the hours it takes to clean it up, the actual damage done to our property, etc. We can go after it that way. We can engage our lawyer, which is a more expensive route. I don't feel the damages are more than what a civil small claims of $5,500 would occur, but that's not my call. We can also contact the DNR and see if they want us to pursue it through civil channels, or if they want to pursue it through their land real estate management team. So that's what we have.
What town?
So, it's Oxford Township.
And
So-
where's it at in Oxford? Where's that?
It's at 1376 Wood Trail, which is on the trail just south of the Wood Trail sinkhole that happened last year. It's the first house south of the sinkhole. It's south of Drainer.
It's probably 500 feet to
Yeah.
1,000 feet south of there.
I'd like to suggest, Linda, that the DNR needs to pursue this, because if we go to a local court
Right.
and the judge finds that there's no problem with it, it
Right.
underscore or creates a bigger problem than it would solve.
Right.
I would rather see us just remove them and store the material because it is on our property.
Right.
I mean, I don't, that we can, if he can put them there, we can take them away. We won't destroy them, but
Yeah. And I do believe that our interlocal agreement does state that. In our interlocal agreement, it does state that we can remove that and store it for 30 days, and if not claimed after 30 days, it can be disposed of at our decision.
that's part of the policy,
Right.
the encroachment
Yeah, part of it,
policy.
yes.
Does the township have an ordinance, though, that you can't, just like we do, where you can't, your water can't flow onto anybody else's property, and you can't dump on anybody else's property?
You could cite them if there's a zoning or a standalone ordinance that would apply to this. We had that issue before with the fence
Right.
off Tandview on that. So
Do you have any that do apply to this, or not?
I'm sure we do. I don't know right off.
Ordinance officer, just the mere fact that he would go out there, he's an ex-deputy, I'm sure that he'd know how
Yeah,
to finesse
yeah.
this.
You know, I mean, we could file the complaint and see
Right.
where it goes.
That might be the, try that.
Right.
But I'd also like what Mike said, is to let the DNR jump in, because it is their trail.
Right. And it's, the DNR prefers that we handle everything we can, locally before we, go to them. So I'm just looking for guidance as far as what my next step should be. So,
Well, I'd like to make a motion then to direct the trail manager to contact the Oxford Township Enforcement Authority to register a complaint of dumping or improper use of trail property. and notify the DNR that we have done that.
Okay,
That should be our first step.
okay.
Or
Okay, motion by Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Steele to file a complaint through the Oxford Township Code of Ordinances to follow up on the encroachment of the steps on the Pollyant Trail. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Donnie, question, answer?
dumping and encroachments. I think you, in that motion, right? Is that what?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
When you repeated it, I think you just missed
No,
one, that's all.
That was the intent, yes.
Okay, so I have, to me, even though it's the DNR's property, if that was happening on your neighbor's property, you wouldn't call you would call the township and say,
Right.
I mean, that's how I would, but I just want to make a mention, and no hard feelings, but when we did this last time, we ended up with a bill from
The lawyer.
Oxford Township's
Well, that's
attorney,
why,
and so I just want,
That's
I don't
why I
want
wanted
to go there.
clarification.
We're just asking for this,
Yeah.
that we don't go down that rabbit trail, that we don't get
Yeah.
that bill.
that'll be expressed that the attorney will not be contacted at this
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then we'll bring it back to council to,
Fair.
do you want to pursue and who's paying the bill?
I believe your ordinance officer has the ability to write tickets, and we just have to get it down in front of a judge and let everybody spend a day down there, show some pictures. I think it'll be resolved quite quickly.
Yeah, the process is a warning. With no compliance, you get another warning, and no compliance, then it goes to the attorney for court
Right.
proceedings to get the issue cleaned up one way or another. Elgin.
Are we also saying that the DNR will be notified as well?
Yeah,
They'll be,
Okay, I didn't hear that in the motion.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
part of
that was
my
in there.
motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I will include them.
I didn't repeat it exact word for word,
Yeah.
which won't happen.
Forgiven, so.
Yeah, and I just wanted clarification on this because of the issue with the fence we had last year and the attorney's fee. So I didn't want to go to the ordinance officer and,
Those are
you know,
porch steps. Looks like
get
you
a
took bunch
bill
of
and,
porch
you know,
steps
that stuff.
for-
So so the next encroachment.
Wait, I have,
Oh,
From his property down to the trail.
Okay, you got a question on the floor here.
I hate to always do this, but the Paint Creek Trail has a couple of these little walking trails, but they are to benefit the whole neighborhood,
correct.
and we do allow some of them, provided that they fit the criteria in which we
Correct.
deem so. So I don't know if this is only going in this backyard.
It
and
is.
do we-
It is.
It is.
It is. It's a-
And if
it's
it
a
was
sole
going to a
benefit.
neighborhood, would we be a little bit more with it, or is it?
At the end of his
Just kind
property.
of trying to think of
Yeah,
something
yeah.
on a consistent level, because
Right.
this will continually
Right.
happen.
At the north end of his property, where his property ends, there is a public access to the trail. So his property,
I know.
public
I know
access.
it's sad. Okay. By the
s-
rocks.
Exactly. And then there is also another public access further down. And then as you go north, I mean, we have public accesses that are authorized by the Pollyant Trail and have been for years. And anybody that would, my own subdivision has an easement onto the trail. It's been there since the sub was created, back in the 60s. So, all the communities have these. This is specifically with no trespassing signs, only on his property. It's like, and he was told not to put anything on the trail. He received a letter that said, you have 5 days to remove it, and now he removed 70-80% of the brush and cleared it and put in lights. So this is not your typical, I just need access to the trail. We also, in Addison Township, we also have a situation on Lakeville Road where we have a gate. He was also sent a letter back in May. I have spoken with the gentleman on the phone 4 times. I have had him at Trailside. My husband and our probation officer, Bob, was there. We were out on the trail with a Ryan crew. We talked to him. He said, no problem, I'll have the gate removed. I understand, I put it 10 feet in. It's going to take me a few days to get it removed, et cetera, et cetera. It was still there. I did file a complaint with Doug in Addison for an ordinance violation, and he's going to be dealing with that. So the homeowner, ironically, asked that the DNR come out and look at some of his dying pine trees. Not on our property, but as a courtesy, could they come out and take a look at them? They were going to be in the area because of Wood Trail. We did make a trip to his property to take a look at his pine trees, which have some sort of beetle infestation, which has been turned over to the forestry department. Our DNR rep, Ms. Van Bloom, did see this. She did take pictures of this. So if the ordinance officer cannot resolve this issue, the DNR will step in with the real estate management department and send them letters. So this was, and when I told him that I was filing a complaint because of noncompliance, I called him and I told him, I said, I don't want to do this, but this is what I am doing. I said, the DNR is aware of this. You called them to your home. They know about it. If you don't get in compliance, the DNR will step in. They're still there. And it's clearly 10 feet into our property.
Go ahead, Donnie.
I'd like to make a motion to ask the Addison Township Enforcement Officer to make notice to have the fence removed and notify the DNR that has been accomplished.
Okay, motion on the floor to request Addison Township remove the fence here at 3680 Lakeville Road in Addison Township.
Can you explain, do you have a better,
I
know the
don't,
trail like the back of my hand,
Yeah.
but you gotta tell me where
Yeah.
this is at here.
do you know where the big culvert failure was, where it separates Oxford Township from Madison Township? On the trail? And
That was in Oxford,
Right.
across from the trailer
Right.
park.
just as you hit Addison. This is the second house in Addison,
Second house in,
Yep.
and this fence is where now?
on the south side of the trail,
And it's on our property.
10 feet, 11 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
According to that tape measure.
Right.
So this is after it goes straight, and then it jogs, and then it goes like
Yes.
this, a second house in,
On Addison Township property.
behind those houses with the ponds.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so Nikki did measure it, and she did verify that it is, actually, it's about 11 feet into our property. So Nikki did take pictures of it, Nikki Van Bloom from the DNR, and she's aware of it. And she said, well, if you can't get it resolved locally, I have the photographs, we'll pursue it at the land management level.
Okay,
And I did
what
send
does
a,
he use this for now?
well, that little sign that says no trespassing says, this is a driveway, not a path. So I don't know what he's using it for.
Okay, I'll have to go look at it.
Yeah. He's cemented it in, which again is not allowed because the posts have to be breakaway because of safety concerns. And, I mean, it's quite a lovely gate, and it would be fabulous if we're 11 feet back. He knows where the property lines are, there you go.
Can you, where is the trail from this picture, though? Isn't it,
The tape
you're
measure,
taking it from the
yes,
trail?
I'm holding the tape measure,
Okay.
and that is facing his house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who the man is, what the name is?
Yes, it's Mr. Lang, Robert Lang. I have his phone number if you want to call him.
No, I'll have to take one of the deputies up there. I will check it.
Okay.
Know
And
what's going on.
And I did send Doug the information. I did give Doug a copy of the certified letter we did send to the gentleman. So Doug has all that information as well.
You know, my ordinance officer has got about 60 behind on the ordinance.
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Take care of this one.
Yeah, and I understand that a gate isn't top priority. It's on his list. I mean, he's doing a good job. He's doing what he can. So pretty much that is what I have.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
I need a second to Donnie's motion.
I'll support.
Okay, now we can discuss. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, we got a couple little things.
No, are you still discussing this gate?
Okay,
Yes or no?
no, we're done.
Okay,
That's it.
no. Okay, so to repeat the motion, as I understand it, we're going to authorize the Addison Township Ordinance Officer to remove the gate at 3680 Lakeville Road in Addison Township. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay,
And
that
how
motion-
many feet, just so I know, how many feet is it?
11 feet onto our property.
11 feet, so we move it back 11 feet, he can get away with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, That, and he knows where the
We'll do
property
that
line is,
next
he has it staked. I mean, and I also sent him a survey copy that was actually in Addison, had a survey copy. So I sent him a survey copy.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. Just a couple little show and tell items. Schneider Electric will be doing the rake and bake in Orion Township on Friday. I need those toilets unlocked.
There they are.
Okay, cool. All right. And if there's some tables and chairs that
This
fall.
Friday, right?
Yeah. And if there's some tables
Little
and chairs.
construction going on
That's
right
okay.
now. But
They just need
Where?
the toilets. Wildwood. So we're going to do a rake and bake, baked potato bar. Come on out. I don't know if there'll be alcohol. There's not supposed to be, so, you know. So anyway, so Schneider, picnic table, sadly, will not be delivered until the 26th, but this is the little plaque that they want. Leonard, the trail, and we'll talk about this too, the Paula Blanca,
Pauline Blanca.
Paula Blanca, and her husband did the well, and they did a lot of work on the trail in its original day, and the map did indicate like a call out to them. We did remove that map when we put in our new map signs. Leonard has expressed a desire to put a little sign on the well building. We are working on some designs with some well buildings. I did get an estimate to have the signs made with the renaming of our parking lots. So catch me if you get lost. With the renaming of our parking lots, and if we want to put signs with our renamed parking lot names on them, we have to have signage. We buy a full sheet of metal when we make signs. We can make 8 2-foot by 2-foot signs out of a piece of metal. So we could make the trailhead sign for the family. We can then make our parking lot signs out of the remaining of the section of the metal. We buy the whole sheet, do with it what we will. It probably would be cheaper if we ordered all of our signs at one time for our parking lots and our trailhead, have them all done. We buy one sheet of metal. It's like $480 for the full sheet. A few dollars here and there for design, a few hours, but that would be it. So if we piecemeal them and buy them one at a time, they're going to be $480 a piece, because you buy a sheet of metal, whether you use it or not. So as we talk about our names for our parking lots, keep that in mind if we decide to move forward with that. We can add it in with the Leonard Trailhead. We can do our parking lot signs all at the same time and save ourselves a ton of money. That's it. So, you know, as we move forward. And I think Petticoat Junction would be a really cool name.
Anything of Linda's several items she brought up you would like to discuss any further before we move on? Donnie?
Have we discussed the possibility of reimbursing Linda $600 for that tractor?
We have not at this point.
That's one thing.
Well, we are actually thinking about selling it and buying a larger one or a new one.
Okay.
So no action is
So
needed.
table
No
it
take-
until
no take
next
action right
time?
now.
This
The
will be,
bill goes from 600 to 1,000?
it'll be an August agenda item,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
And then Hosner, she put limestone on
Boardman.
Boardman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just consideration of putting it on Hosner, because that's a wreck too.
I've been actually dropping quite a bit out there.
I'm just gonna,
yeah.
I'm gonna give my list, and then we can put them on, okay, and then Rhodes Road, the grass, I don't know if we discuss another cutting, a lawn cutting, and then, did anybody talk about gravel for the Paint Creek, because the Paint Creek Trail is gonna resurface their trail, and we had to do this gravel, following, so those are my questions from her report.
When are you re-graveling Paint Creek?
Making sure that she can find the right gravel name for the resurfacing, that she hasn't been able to find the gravel. So I just want to see.
We're doing it this year, resurfacing.
So we have an engineering firm that's going to do the specifications of what it was 15 years ago, and I'm hoping that they know wood gravel to use.
I have asked them about it, and they are relying on their contractor, so they do not have a name or a location where the material is coming from as of yet.
We just awarded it to WCI.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know that. That's all I was
Yeah,
just.
so that's kind of in flux, So they don't actually, I mean, I can call them up, but they don't know the actual name. I'm one of the very few trail managers that probably know more about rocks and dirt and snakes than anybody. So we are still looking for it. And as soon as I can get a names like 21 or 22X are not always the same names at different quarries in different types. So it has to be very specific. So I'm questing. And like I said, I'm going to meet an engineer on Friday. I'm hoping for some.
What's the plan B, Linda? We put a lot of time into trying to find a material.
I don't know what a plan B is.
I mean-
It exists. I just have to find it. Last year when we had the damage done on the trail by Glaspie Street, the gentleman who did the damage hired his construction crew to get it fixed. They subcontracted out to another guy who subcontracted out to another guy who brought the material in from Ohio, put it on. It's perfect. It's a perfect match. Love it. He had about 15 yards extra. He dumped it over. I've been using that 15 yards on the trail. It's almost gone. I know it exists. It's close.
OHM fixed the repair on Rhodes Road.
Yeah, but that's the wrong material, you see.
That's chip seal.
Yeah.
Chips. Oh,
Yeah, so that's the wrong material. This is actually chipped limestone with millings. I have been told by several people that it's what is left when concrete powder is made. It's the actual stuff that they don't grind down to make concrete powder, that, the stuff you add water to and mix concrete. It's actually the chips. So that's why the trail is almost bomb-proof. That's why it's so compacted, and it's lasted 20-some years with, some areas don't even look like they've been worn. But that being said, other places are looking worn. Orion and Addison, they're looking rough. We got to get something going on those. So I got to find the material.
Well, that's why I say, Linda, if you can't find it, you need to go with something else and
Right, and I will talk to
cut the time you're spending trying to find something
Yeah.
that may not exist.
Oh, it exists. I know.
I know,
that.
but it's,
I will ask the DNR for their guidance as far as it's their trail. They do have set
Go ahead.
requirements.
It's not on regards to this. It's regarding the road commission leaving the spoils all over the, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that part of the Orion pathway?
It is.
That's actually not a part of the Pollyann Trail itself. That's an access path. So maybe we could work with Orion Township's ordinance, or
What area are you talking about?
On the
it's right
safety pa-
between
yeah,
the path and the parking lot
on
underneath the
Indian Wood.
guardrail.
Yeah, right under that guardrail.
on Indian?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's already starting to grow grass.
Right.
It's a big lump.
Yeah, it's a terrible lump. I did call them several weeks ago, and they said as soon as they finished up the Indian Wood project, they would come back through and scrape that off and take it away. I did talk to Mike. Again, there's 60 or 70 projects behind. It's little, but the longer it goes, the smaller the project, it's just going to be forgotten.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
bring it up. Maybe if we
Yeah.
work with Orion,
Right.
the road commission will listen a little bit more to us.
And, I do mow that whole, I mow Indian Wood, and I've been trying to get out to Clarkston. I know, it's terrible. I just mowed it 8 days ago. No, but I mowed it 8 days ago with this rain, though. It's just been horrific. I've been mowing the road crossings and the parking lots as much as I can. I just can't keep up. The rain, I was out at Boardman yesterday, mowing and dropping the rock. I was there the previous Monday. You can't even tell I was out there. I mean, it's a foot high. We may want to look at maybe having Pete do an extra mow like we did last year, 4 mows. That's $750. I don't know if we can afford it.
is it ready?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
ready for mowing?
Yeah, I could mow now.
Why don't we just go ahead and move it forward?
Okay.
I mean, that
And
way it
then
takes the burden off from you. The money's in the budget to $750, right?
$750 a mow.
When would the next mowing be by schedule?
It would be the Friday before 4th of July. So we're only a couple of weeks away from our next mow, so we could just accelerate that a couple of weeks and tell them to do it now. But if we could add a 4th mow, like maybe the end of July, because the next scheduled mow is not until Labor Day, which is the end of August.
We've
If-
already approved the agreement, correct?
We've already
For the mows?
approved 3. So if we approved a 4th, I would like to see the 4th
So
one.
you could schedule that with Urban Habitat
Yeah.
and say, this is the time I want you to go out and mow.
Right,
So
perfect.
That's what I would
I'll
do.
call them and have them do it
no
tomorrow.
objections from council.
No, we've already
we've
budgeted
approved
for
it.
it, so there's no, it's only if we need to do another one.
We'll have to come back and
Right.
approve it, yeah.
Right.
It sounds like Linda needs some help.
Yeah, it's just, and I just can't,
Sure.
with the rain and everything, well,
Elton.
you know how it goes.
What part of the trail are you talking about mowing now?
The entire trail. When Pete does the entire trail, he does from Boardman Road to Joslyn, south of Walden Road. He does all the crossovers, he weed whips around all the signs. He does an excellent job, just an excellent job. And, I try to mow, typically I mow every 10 days, every parking lot, every road crossing every 10 days. It takes me 10 days to do the rotation. If I have WHAM, we go through it pretty quickly. The last 3 WHAM visits have been rained out. They did work, they worked for about an hour and a half on Sunday in Leonard, and I couldn't believe it. So we finally just said, you know what, we're all going to have pneumonia and die. So we went into the DPW and cleaned up the DPW station for them, and then we came back and cleaned up the police department's garage again. I'm 3 weeks behind. Trash is getting picked up, but that's about it. And I'm mowing myself to death. So, anyway, so I will have Pete do a mow here
Sure.
now.
Anything else for Linda? Okay, we'll discuss some of these later, Linda.
Okay.
Moving on to new business, Orion Township Library request to place a pocket library structure at Clarkston Road. This is something that we approved for Addison Township Library previously. So, Linda, you said there was a Eagle Scout, so do we want to push this back to August
August.
when he comes?
Come tonight.
Okay,
He is out of town in a church event.
okay,
So he said that I just got an email before he got here, August.
okay.
I'll make a motion to table this item until the August meeting.
I'll second the motion to table the placement request for a pocket library by the Orion Township Library until the August Pollyant Trail Management meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. On to unfinished business, naming of Pollyant Trail properties. We've discussed this for 2 to 3 months now, and it's just a matter of coming up with a set amount of names and making a decision, moving on, whether we want these, we don't want these. Linda's done a lot of research on this. We've looked at the video that was cable recorded with the gentleman who's pretty knowledgeable in trains and history of Oxford. And according to Linda, a lot of the names were by numbers on the stop or the route of the train itself. Some of my thoughts is that we talked about naming them after people like the Blanca family for the Leonard Trailhead, Sue Bellairs and Joe Gwynn for the Powell Park there. I don't know if there's a specific name you'd like at Clarkston Road, Indianwood Road, or Lake George Road.
Petticoat Junction.
But some of my thought is if you could call it like the Blanca Depot at the Leonard Trailhead, because a depot was a stop along the way, and you could, I just did a rough draft, just put something like that together, a regular railroad sign, and you put the name around the circle and whatever, but it seems like we're spinning our wheels here trying to finalize this idea.
In the research that I've been able to find, and I spent a lot of time with Sue Bossardi at the Oxford Museum, most of the locations, unless they were actual passenger pickup or drop-offs, they were just numbers, and every time a train company would take over the tracks, basically they would change the numbers, and you would have Water Station 11 or you would have Water Station 53. Stations were like the Leonard Station or the Oxford Station, and there wasn't really a lot of names attached to them that I've been able to find. I'm sure there were nicknames and such, but I couldn't actually locate anything. This was last Tuesday with the snow. The next one will be locusts and rain. This is a Clarkston, picture of the Clarkston parking lot before the spring. This is Indianwood. Then we have Powell Street, and this has been changed quite a bit. Lake George in the winter.
That
And
was the old milk depot.
the Milk Depot. Did it have a name other than just the Milk Depot?
It was the Lake George Milk Depot.
Right.
And they picked up the milk there.
I mean, we could name it the Lake George Milk Depot. I mean, that would be,
The farmers all brought their cans there,
Yeah.
and that was a stop for the milk depot.
yeah. And
That's the
Leonard,
only reason we owned the property, that we could do the
parking lot.
parking lot.
And I know Leonard had a lot of coffins. They picked up a lot of coffins in Leonard. And I don't know, that was, it was coffin. Well, Oxford, besides Scrabble, back in the day, was
We
known
can put
for coffin.
Leonard to bed right now. Leonard Trailhead. That's what the village council would like to have it referred to as. No,
No name recognition, just Leonard Trailhead.
yeah.
Or we could call this one Cody's parking lot, since he helped us build the parking lot.
Well, we also could call it Clarice, because Clarice the deer is residing on the side, too.
Donnie, you had several names early on.
Yeah.
I think that you could do this a couple ways. You could say 3 ways. Each municipality name their own parking lots. That would be one. 2, you do an ad hoc committee and you come up with suggestions, like 1 or 2. Or 3, you make a list of the 3 top and we all vote on it. Whatever the vote is what wins. Those are the 3 suggestions.
Aaron,
There needs to be some consistency to it. I mean, we can't have, Leonard just has Leonard Trailhead, and then Orion has, the Scripps Depot or something like that. There needs to be some consistency. So if Leonard's just doing Leonard Trailhead, why don't we just remain consistent with what we,
Well, I guess, if anybody wants my opinion,
too convoluted.
go ahead, Linda.
my opinion is, it costs money to make signs. It costs money to install signs, it costs money to, are we okay with the way it is? I mean, if we're just gonna name it Leonard Trailhead, and we're gonna name it, Orion Township Trailhead 1, Indianwood Trailhead 2, or whatever, Parking 2,
Well, the
it costs money.
the original thought was to get some railroad naming
Things,
into
yeah.
this,
Yeah,
but it sounds like we don't have enough material.
we don't have enough material. If every one of these parking lots had a name like, the Lake George Milk Depot, or,
Yeah.
something that tied it into the railroad, that would be cool. Or we could say, it would be like, a family out there had the property and that's where the cattle, it could be like, Lake George Cattle Run or whatever. But there really isn't anything I've been able to find. I found, Leonard Coffin Company, they basically ran the train through there to pick up the coffins. And
Well, there was a station in Leonard, as well as a hay shed on the railroad property. Along with, there was a cattle yard, which is now the nature park in the village. I mean, there was a railroad spur there. The mill, obviously, was the center of commerce, basically. And we had an apple dryer, drying business. We had a lumber mill, which is why all the coffins, it was all milled lumber. So that's part of the dilemma.
yeah, where do you go with it?
Yeah.
Elgin.
Yes, I was thinking parking lots, for example, might be such as Terminal 1, Terminal 2. That's where trains would come in, and they'd park the trains until passengers got on board and left.
Yeah.
One of the train machines was known as a flyer. Might be a possibility that you could put that in. Stations would be another one that you could use.
Yeah, I think we're not going to solve it here
Right.
tonight. I think what was mentioned before, the 3 options, maybe put a couple of people together, or
Okay.
individual townships do their own, probably not a good idea. We'll lose consistency. So we're not going to solve it here. Let's make an ad hoc committee and get it over with, and then bring it back here.
Who's on the committee? Who would like the committee for name?
I'll do it.
We have a volunteer.
They're gonna come up cute and sweet and Pollyann style with pink, just so you know.
Hey, I want Petticoat Junction and Torador Station,
you guys
and you'll know
know.
what Torador Station is real
All
quick.
right. Any other,
So I'll make a motion then that the council form an ad hoc committee consisting of 3 members to propose potential names for Pollyann Trail facilities in each community, for each community.
I'll second.
I'll-
we have a second by Mr. Watley from the committee. Okay. So now let's discuss this committee. We have one volunteer.
I'll volunteer, but
Two
unless you want
volunteers.
somebody else from a
We have
different
two
committee.
volunteers. Do we want a third, or can Orion Township handle this for us?
I think they can handle it.
We got one, they can handle it.
We got confidence.
They can handle it too.
No, that's, what is that word when you don't want to participate?
Take a step forward.
It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. That's what the name is.
We
No,
have to
you-
work on it.
Two-
Okay, in that case, I'll volunteer.
Oh, see?
You shamed me into it.
Apathy was the word I was.
Make sure that we get the milk station in.
Yeah. I want Tudor Station, Petticoat Junction, the Coffin House.
Okay, so, would you amend your motion to include on the committee Counselor Watley, Counselor Steele, and Counselor South?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we need an amended second from Mr. Watley.
Yep.
Okay. All right, everybody understand the motion? We're gonna form a committee, come back at the August Pollyann Trail Council meeting with suggestions for potential action. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. On to the interlocal agreement.
Pathway Church.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I bypassed you, Donnie. So, I'm going to give you the floor, Donnie, for the Pathway Church parking update.
Right. Is it my, did you call me?
I did.
Okay. I had did anybody see this piece? It didn't get in the packet, right?
No, because
No.
page 2, what you indicated in the second to the last bullet point.
Oh, probably a good idea.
So, it was going
Okay.
to, until I read that.
Thanks. So I'm going to just kind of just go over it briefly. We met Curtis, Linda, and Donnie, and I did a follow-up, of what we talked about. And I was afraid, I wanted to keep it confidential, so Curtis didn't put it in the packet. But just, Linda, do you have the slide of the packet
You
to
know
be
what?
able to put up so people
me
can
see.
look at it visually?
It
was in the,
I'm going to my emails.
It was in the Curtis's.
Yeah, I have it if she doesn't, but I have to connect the
I've got-
adapter.
I shouldn't need the internet. I've got it, I hope. Let's see what we've got. Give me a minute. Keep talking, Tony.
Okay, so just roughly, everybody knows where it's at on the corner of Wood Road and Drainer. It's 5 acres and it's zoned residential 2. And you have to have 25,000 square feet minimum lot. And the pastor from the church said that they would entertain an offer to sell or lease. And we discussed that we would need a parking of 20 spaces, and anything more than 20 spaces would have to be ADA compliant, and we did not want to have an ADA compliant. Okay. We had considered design parking in front of the church or at the rear of the property, and we considered the possibility of buying it like on a land contract with monthly payments, and which would not deplete the trail reserves and give seller monthly income. However, if you split the property, then that land contract would have to be probably paid off. So, if you bought the whole parcel of 5 acres, you technically could split the church off with 2.5 acres and sell 1 1/4 and keep 1 1/4.
There we go.
There, that helps a
Yep.
lot. So if you split the property like right in half, just as a line, it would be, the church would be 2.5 acres in the front and then the 2.5 in the back.
Right.
So, they own it free and clear, and it's owned by the Fellowship Baptist Church of Oxford. And we could probably lease it immediately, and maybe even possibly do like a first right of refusal. And I contacted a realtor, local realtor, for financing and suggestions, and she thought that if you were to sell like the 2 front lots, you're like, yeah. You don't have the picture of my other one, do we? Okay.
No, not the sketch.
Is that three?
Sketch wasn't included.
Yeah,
Okay.
Drainer Road is,
Which one is there?
Drainer Road is right up there. That's Drainer, right there.
And that?
Show the bigger map,
trails
Linda.
here.
The what?
The other map, that gives you a little location.
There you go.
So, and if you, I'm just gonna show you guys this diagram and see if everybody can see it. I'm gonna just stand by Linda.
So that's that white church, is it that white?
Yeah.
It just sits there.
It's not a big, yeah, it's not a big church.
Yeah.
They want to sell the church.
Yeah, 25,000 square
Can
feet.
you
They
guys
wanna sell
see what
part
I
of the
have here?
property.
Like,
Yeah.
look at the
They have
diagram.
5 acres.
Here's the church, here's Drainer, here's the trail. So, proposed future parking, and then you can split off the front and sell these lots, is what I have thought. So, can you guys see this?
But where would we have access for parking?
You would have this easement,
Oh, okay.
and you could go into the easement and do here.
Okay.
Or, I mean, there's like a bunch of different ideas. Curtis thought going in right off Drainer Road, but I thought that would cause too much of a, and it would eat too much of the property up to take off like a chunk off the front. But as you, on this side here, the elevation is a lot higher than this side here. This one, you could just put like a little cut through. Here, you would have to do a major, drop.
Right.
So, it's a project, and I just don't know how much, we have no money. I mean, it's typical trail stuff.
Yeah.
Great idea, no money, but if you throw it out there, it'll work.
What are they asking for it? Do we know?
There's no price on it.
It's not for sale. We're asking them to possibly think about it.
And
Either
he-
lease or sell.
And he said, let me just do
Yeah.
this. He said that he would take a bona fide offer. So you would really have to offer him something to say, okay, so the value, if you were to take the whole 5 acres and just sell it, like, let's just pretend that it's not a church, because it's zoned residential. Let's pretend that it's just a house, like an 1,800 square foot house on 5 acres. It's roughly $300,000 if you were to like put it up for sale, like a house. And if you were to take, like I said, these 2 little lots up here and split them off, you could probably sell each lot for $65,000. And if you did that, like split off the church, you have the church keep their church, we take the back half, sell off the 2 front lots, then you could keep the back for almost no money. It's kind of like a wash, and it would give us future parking, and Linda could put her dream barn. And then we also talked, she got so excited, we talked about keeping the whole church by the whole, split off the back half and sell it, and then keep the church, you let them lease it out, and in 5 years, she could use it as a storage barn. So, I mean, there's like a bunch of things when you talk about real estate and prices, but we have no money, and we have no offer, and we have no anything. So, here, what do you guys think?
Is that church being used now at all?
Yes, they have like probably 10 parishioners, and the pastor is probably 90. And so, just hoping that if we do something like in the next year somehow, that we would happen before somebody, because that guy, the guy that's buying all these lots around here and building houses, he's looking for property, so I would think that you could sell the property.
Is that a public road to the east? Mm-hmm. And so we know that it has public road frontage, and
Yes.
those would be legally splittable.
And then, yes, and then Curtis, and it's in Oxford, and Bill Dunn Bill came in and he pulled out his ruler. They would be splittable, and they would be conforming, and you wouldn't need any variances, and they meet the zoning, and they meet the square footage and they have the road frontage that they're ready to go right off the bat. So That's kind of just,
Well, I think I'd tell the church that God would like us to have that parking lot.
Go ahead, Elgin.
You mentioned possible leasing. I would not like to see us get into the lease business. I think a nice clean cut is to sell it. We're interested in getting that parking space. If we can make the money through the retailer by selling the property would be the route to take.
If we bought the entire piece of property, kept what we wanted, and discarded the rest, we probably could cover the cost of the purchase of the property in whole. You know, that's the ultimate goal. It would be unimproved. I mean, it would be dirt and grass until we actually acquired money to improve it. But we would be sitting on a piece of property that maybe we do nothing for the next 5 years. But we buy the property, we carve it out, we keep what we want.
The problem you would have with a lease arrangement with the church is if they become non-existent, they decide to move out, who are you going to rent a church to?
We just sell it as a lot.
That piece of property is worth a lot of money. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think if we just kept what we wanted and carved the rest out and sold it, we would end up with what we wanted for nothing, and those would be sold to whomever.
Is there sewer and water there as
Yeah,
well?
I believe, well, there's sewer and water. This is exactly the spot, just a little bit south of this, like right down here is where that wood trail culvert failed, down here. And this is, didn't they just have to put in a new water line right here?
No.
Their community well failed?
There was a line that was connected south of there, Linda.
Okay, all right.
It was south of there. But the water and sewer is available.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue. I think the point we're at now is, do we make the bona fide offer? And if we do, how much?
Do we have money, first of all, I mean, I suspect they're gonna want a lot of money for that, because it is worth a lot of money. Do we have the money to even say that we're gonna buy it? I mean,
We have it from the aspect of a 30-year mortgage. We have that. And then if you go with the proposal Donnie presented, it'll make it a lot easier to make this happen as far as paying the note.
Well, if we took out a 30-year mortgage on it, let's say, for example, with the intent of getting it purchased, done, under our control, and then selling off the lots, that would pay off the 30-year note. That's the theory, which
Would
requires
help
more
pay the
effort.
30-year note.
Yeah. Well, that would, if we buy this whole piece of property in its whole and we have it under our control, so we have all 5 acres, we take out a 30-year note for however much they want for it. Once we close on it, we do that, then we start shopping the lots to builders. We sell off the lots we don't want, and we keep what we have, and we pay off our 30-year note with the proceeds of the sale of the subsequent lots. And the theory is, and the hope is, and we would have to do our due diligence on that, if we can generate enough income from the sale of individual lots to pay our 30-year note off in its entirety, we walk away with a free chunk of piece of property of our desire, and, you know, then they put in 3 or 4 houses.
Council's pleasure. What would you like to do here? Eric?
One more question. Do we have any idea what it's worth?
just that probably 300,000.
For 5 acres in that area?
On that corner.
That's hard to believe.
I know. I mean, that's why we're thinking that if they're willing to sell that 5-acre piece of property for $300,000, one, we carve off the front half, we take the middle section, we turn that church into our storage and parking lot, and then the back 3 lots we sell off.
And then just that number is just roughly from somebody that,
Yeah.
you know, I talked to a realtor, you probably have to do an appraisal and all that
Yeah.
stuff to make sure it's all done.
Yeah, we'd have to do due diligence. I mean, it's not something that
But
we
it's
do
spend some money.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get the real
This is going to
numbers.
require a lot of finessing.
We can't offer them a tax break because they're already
Correct.
Tax rate.
not paying any property
Right.
taxes, so it would be actually to the benefit of the township to have some taxable value there with the
Right.
Oh, sure.
lot.
Right.
Sure, Elgin.
I'm kind of leaning in the direction that the supervisor of Addison Township is. I mean, we don't have any money as such, and I'm concerned about the finances as well, and my question is, do we need it, or do we want it? That's what comes to mind. do we really want to get into this situation? I agree, sounds valuable, and as a developer, it'd be something I would be looking at, but I'm not at all sure it's a good fit for us.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing from past experience. As soon as I find out that the township or the Pollyant Trail or any governmental agency is looking at, the price is going to go up because they always think we have deep pockets. And so you almost have to send someone there who represents us that they are sure, because somebody in that parish or the parishioner, somebody's going to say, hey, wait a minute, this is worth more than what we're offered. And somebody's going to muddy up the water, so you almost have to send a representative there to negotiate for you so they don't know that it's a governmental agency.
Donnie, go ahead.
Bruce, we already called him.
Oh, well,
And we,
that's out of bed.
but we know him. We know him. So my mother-in-law, she used to go to that church, so I know him from back when. So we're doing a lot of hearsay, and I think going back to Elgin has a good point. Do we need it or do we want it? I think both. The need is probably not as great right now as the want, but is needed, and the need will be greater as time goes on because people are parking on Drainer Road, and it's very dangerous, especially right by that beacon light. They park in front of it, and you cannot see people cross as the cars block the visual of people crossing the path, and I think that's what is trying to be fixed. So if you guys would allow, or the board would allow, is to go and have maybe Linda and I and Curtis, if he was available, because it was like our ad hoc committee, see if we can make an appointment to talk to the pastor and show him our little diagram and see if he's even remotely interested any further based on our thoughts.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm willing to set up a meeting.
Can I just ask one question? They're not looking at moving to another church. They're not looking at possibly, building a new church. So they're kind of talking about maybe ending this church.
I think he's thinking just the back end of the property is what I think he's thinking. Not the churches.
Well, I would make a motion that you go forward and you look and see what they're offering. We may be surprised if it's going to something that would benefit the community. The church may look at that too and at least go in and investigate and see what you can come back with, and then report back to this board would be my motion.
Okay, do I have a second to the motion to have,
Curtis? Kevin had a question.
you need a second?
Support.
Second.
Okay, sorry.
Support.
I have a motion and a second from Donnie. Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Would another option be a recreational easement that, I don't know who benefits if this church was to just go away, who would actually profit from the land sale, but just as a kind of in the back hip pocket would be to say, are you willing to give us a recreational easement that will in perpetuity grant us some parcel of that property to give us that parking? If then you wouldn't have the issue of purchasing the land, it would be saved so that if it was just sold outright, because the parishioners would gain, or the pastor or somebody, so they would want the money, but maybe they'd be willing to do that. Of course, a lot of
That would
times
be
with
part of my
recreational
motion for
easement,
you to negotiate. However, by experience, the Lakeville Methodist Church
I agree.
was sold out. After the proceedings were sold by the diocese up in Port Huron, who owned our church that I went to in the middle of Lakeville here last year, the church was sold, and the property in parishioner's home was sold. Everything was sold. But they took some of that money and they then donated it back to the community from the sale. And then they donated money to the fire department, they donated money to the library, they donated. So I'm saying that if the church is looking at that, you may be surprised that they may, because after all, the people in that community built that church, everything, so they may want to give some of it back to the community before they leave. That's what our church did, so you might want to check on that.
And that's a good idea. When we sold a piece of property on Indianwood Road, part of the sale was he gave 1 acre for future parking use for basically the Pollyant Trail going east on Indianwood. So yes, that's a great idea.
Whatever, I know you're a good negotiator, that's in my motion, go for it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that the Pauline Chair representatives, Chairman Wright and Treasurer Steele, along with Trail Manager Moran, will approach Pathway Church and for potential purchase of the property on Grainer Road.
Potential purchase or
Gift.
lease, or permanent lease.
Potential purchase or permanent lease
Or gift.
or gift. And report back at the August Pollyant Trail meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Anything more on Pathway Church before we move on?
Just the thought that if they are generous enough to want to work with us, that we could also talk about giving them some naming rights as far as what you would consider
Okay.
calling it, the Pathway Church parking lot, or on the Pollyant Trail. You know, you get the gist.
Yep. Okay, all right, so we'll set up a meeting and go from there.
Perfect.
All right, going back where I jumped ahead to the interlocal agreement, I put this back on because at our last meeting, it was to be forwarded to the DNR for their review, and I haven't heard nothing back
I
from them.
haven't heard anything.
So I wanted to put it back on to see if the council's ready to move this forward to the respective boards and councils for their consideration.
Weren't we waiting to hear
From the
Yes.
DNR.
the DNR?
Yes, and I have heard nothing. Linda was going to contact them. She's
Haven't heard a word.
nothing.
They were out of the office, haven't heard a word. Kristen Wilfang and I have been working a lot with this thing. She was concerned when she reviewed it. She thinks that the way we have the interlocal agreement now is good and should work for us. She said to me, why do we still have the bylaws? Because some of the bylaws are contradict some of the interlocal agreement lines. She said, if we don't need the bylaws for our 501c to remain intact, we should just get rid of the bylaws.
No, if you have a 501c, you have to adopt
Okay.
bylaws.
That's why she didn't know how our 501c was at, so we will have to have the bylaws. So we'll have to shush those together. I am at the point where I'm going to send her a large amount of data to update our 5-year plan, with the exception of the bylaws and the interlocal agreement. Basically, our maps are ready to go, our council lists are ready to go, our maps, our community configurations, all of that, the money, everything is ready to go for her to update on that file. She has access to the original file of that. She can change everything for us. She's willing to do that at no charge for us. So we just got to work out our interlocal agreement and our bylaws. Once we get that together, we throw those in there. We send it back. Everybody looks at it, sends it out to the respective communities. We send it to the DNR. We get approval. We send it out to the community for feedback. We can send it to print. We're good to go
For the interlocal agreement?
for the 5-year plan, for the rec plan.
Okay.
So basically, I'm going to send over the information that I have, that we have compiled as far as census, land use, recreational use, all of those things that are in our 5-year plan, all of our ideas of what we're going to be doing, what we've done, where the money's come from for what we've done, who contributes what, where, when, how. I'm going to send that over to her to be updated. Once we get the interlocal agreements, bylaws worked out, we'll send those over, get those updated. We'll be ready to take a look at it in its entirety.
So that we're all clear, including myself, you're looking at approving the interlocal agreement, the bylaws, then the 5-year plan?
Yeah, because the interlocal agreement has to go in the 5-year plan. So once we get that done, we can put that in the 5-year plan, and that's basically, I have the other information we need. I just didn't want to send over, drips and drabs over to her, and then every day she's got another file that she's got to update. She wants to do it at one time. She doesn't want to be monkeying around with this for months.
Okay, so when's our 5-year plan due?
2017.
Okay, all right, so that answers that question.
We have to get this approved by the DNR, or be in the process of it being approved by the DNR in order to apply for a trust fund grant. Yes.
Mike?
Well, this is all driven to to get the intergovernmental agreement to be approved by the DNR. That's why we started this
Right.
particular process. Now we can't get anybody there. What was her name?
Mary Carlock.
Mary Carlock's not available, or?
Mary Carlock has, I've sent the message on to Curtis, she doesn't understand why she's getting involved in our interlocal agreement. So Kristen Wolfang has been working with her to get her to give us the information we need to be compliant.
The information that we put in the plan that we changed
Yeah.
was derived from the Paint Creek Trails agreement,
Yes.
correct?
And what Mary Carlock sent us
Okay.
that said we needed to change
Okay,
to make it
so-
compliant.
So that said then, you're saying that there's a conflict with our bylaws? Do you know where?
No, and Kristen Wolfang was going to talk to Mary Carlock, and that's where we're at. So it's very, you talk to this person, you talk to this person. It's kind of a telephone game.
Linda,
Yes.
I think you need to call and get a hold of Mary Carlock. and
Okay.
Explain that what is driving this, that we're
Okay.
trying to make sure that what we adopt meets the requirements of the DNR as far as the disposal of the property, et cetera. And tell her that's all we need to know, because everything else, we're good.
Yes.
I mean, we've made changes,
Yes.
but
We're good.
that should move us forward.
Yes.
And then I think we can comfortably say, go ahead and move forward with it.
Right.
Otherwise, I think we're kind of flying blind. We've done all this work, and we got to have some feedback, some
Right.
good feedback. And as far as the bylaws go, that's not urgent.
Right.
What's urgent is the IGA.
Right.
The law says we have to have bylaws, and we obviously clearly should update them, but that's not a holdup.
No.
Okay. Really. It's just making sure that the DNR will accept the language for the
Interlocal agreement. Definitely.
property.
I will get a hold of her as soon as I can. I mean, I will give her a call. I'll go to Lansing. I know where it's at.
So with that in mind, then, we will move this to the August agenda.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to set it, what is it, set it aside or table it, either one, till August.
Support.
Yeah, you can table it. Table it till the August.
August 21st.
Donnie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just page 39 should read between, all the way to Joslyn Road, not Indianwood. It goes further.
That's on the,
Oh, it's on the new one? That's
Yeah,
what Aaron-
it's on the new one.
that's what I'm trying to tell me.
on the bylaws.
Yes.
On the bylaws. Yeah, that's up next on the next agenda item,
Oh, sorry.
on the local agreement.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to postpone any activity, or table, excuse me. We're going to table it to the August meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Now we're on to the bylaws. Aaron, you're totally correct. It does say Indian Wood Road. That's one of the corrections that needs to be made on the bylaws. There's a couple blanks that need to be filled in as well in the bylaws. But with that in mind, we might as well table that one until the August meeting as well, because it corresponds with the interlocal agreement. So I'll make a motion to table the Poly and Trail Management Council bylaws until the August meeting as well, 2019. Support. Okay, motion second to postpone the bylaws to the August meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the last agenda item, the Leonard restroom repairs update. That's been on hold for going on a year now. I put a couple of the most recent quotes into the packet, and last time we met as a council, we thought that was too high. And I think, Mr. Pearson, you had some ideas that we could do it a lot better.
If I can comment,
You have the floor.
okay, I did send out, today, the Whammers were gonna go out there and they were gonna, first of all, clean the place up, and they were gonna make an assessment with, Charlie Peringi, and I did explain to him that, we either need to, if we put vinyl on there, I'm just wondering if it will hold up, which I have no problem doing the vinyl work, or we can repair the wood that's on there and have the Whammers restain it. And, but I don't know what the pleasure is of the board. The soffits can be fixed with some material, and then it can be restained.
Do you need some funds? Do you need some funds for that? Or just do the work
What I
and
would
submit
do
the
is,
bill?
I'd just buy the funds and give you the bill. It's
Yeah,
probably gonna
alright.
be minimal, but one way. If we do the vinyl will probably gonna cost you a few $100s.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to do vinyl work, so I mean, I can do the vinyl. And I know Mike McDonald is a great assistant.
Took me 2 weeks to build that little shed.
He's always available, and he likes this kind of stuff, so.
Good to be volunteered.
Well, we can request, on our WAM crews, we can request carpenters or construction people. We can request specialties.
Well, if we go that route, then we'll end up just repairing the wood that's on there. Do you want a maintenance-free building, or are you looking to keep repairing the wood on there and staining it? That's,
I would like to have it maintenance-free. I mean, it looks better. And last year, we power washed the bridge and restained it, and it looks great. I think if with vinyl, we can power wash it like every year, fix anything that's broken. I think we're good. The soffits on the roof, I think we do have several families of starlings living in there that will need to be cleaned out. But the
We're
interior,
going out this week to clean
Good.
stuff out, but if there's babies in there, we're not gonna move them now until
Yeah.
they're...
yeah.
If there's darlings, you can't.
Yeah, they're invasive. You can just check them out, but still, it's, yeah, we did have a WAM crew out there on Sunday, and we started to clean it up, but, we didn't get so far.
Well, we are talking about just the outside that we're cleaning.
Just the outside. The inside is quite nice. I've been cleaning it weekly and stocking it with toilet paper and assorted sundries. It smells like lavender now. Hey, don't laugh.
The only thing with vinyl is,
Yeah.
kids can wreck vinyl.
They can. We do have cameras up there. We haven't had much of a problem up there. I actually put those chairs up there, and nothing's happened to them, which I am just shocked at. The cheap stuff, I guess nobody wants to mess with. The expensive
Elgin.
stuff, but, yeah.
Okay, I agree with Linda, the fact that if you're gonna do this, you wanna do it one time, get it done, do it properly. Have you any estimate at all as to what materials would cost?
Well, I just know that, a square of vinyl is about $90 now or whatever, so we're looking at probably 2 squares of vinyl, and then we got corner posts, and then we have some J-channel and some, starter on the bottom of it, which I've done many, many times, so it's, do we
Right.
want to put vinyl on, that's all I'm asking. If you want vinyl, we can put vinyl, and that'll be maintenance-free unless they break the vinyl,
Do you feel that $500 would be a budget enough?
If it went over, I'm sure that Mr. Dunn would probably donate for whatever it was.
I think you're
I
trying
believe
to hide
$500, you give me $500, I will bring back the bills to you. And Mike's labor is pretty darn cheap, so I'm pretty sure that,
And Bruce, I'm willing to help out any way I can. I've got more gear than you can imagine, so I can help out any way.
and my father, after he died, he left me probably 50,000 nails, so we don't have to buy nails. So we'll use
Yeah.
his nails to finish the project, so, yes.
Ronnie,
I'd make the motion to allocate up to $700 to repair the Leonard Pit toilet with labor coming from Addison Township
And Village of Leonard.
and the Village of Leonard.
Well, we'll put down the village president, and then I'll stop by once in a while and see. how he's-
Supervisor.
Also on that
we
line,
have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Second by Councilman Nichols.
Now, let me ask you this, what's the color you want?
beige, to match the well,
Beige?
yeah, to match the well with the green trim, to match the well house.
Okay. Any trim color?
Green.
Green.
Yeah, the British Racing green. Same color that's on the green.
Green.
Green,
The British Racing green, that, you know what British Racing green is. I want that color. Not that I'm specific.
Anything further?
okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to authorize $700 to repair the Leonard pit toilet with the labor and materials being furnished by Addison Township in the Village of Leonard. Roll call, please.
Bruce Pearson.
Wow. We're getting ourselves into labor, Mike.
What have I meant to do that?
You got a yes?
I got a yes? Okay.
Yes, you got a yes.
Eric Sent,
Yes.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Watley,
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thanks.
Okay, on to public comment. Mr. Dunn, any comments? Not today. All right, on to council member comments. Mr. Pearson, starting with you.
No, I have no comments.
Mr. Stump,
Same here, no comment.
Mr. McDonald.
Hope everybody has a good summer.
It's only 1 week long.
It gets here.
No comments.
No comments. Councilor Steele.
I always have a comment. I'd like to thank Joe Ferrari for the bookkeeping. He does a great job.
He
And
does.
I appreciate that he does that. And, boy, I think that Linda, the way that you're going at it, we might have to find a Pollyant Trail Friends group.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we can, I don't know, if we put it on a future agenda to like say, okay, how would we even powwow?
Yeah.
It's just my comment.
Yeah. The problem with the Friends group, it takes a lot of time to maintain them, you know, and I actually am getting quite a few volunteers on board. This year has just been terrible as far as just everything, you know, it's just been a lot of rain. You can't get out there. You get volunteers, but you can't.
But that's the thing, the Friends group has their own
Yeah.
board, and you talk to one person and you
That
say,
would be-
hey, I need a blah, blah,
Yeah.
and then you're done. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a thought.
Aaron.
Yep. Happy 4th of July, everybody. And don't get down on yourself because anyone who's maintaining property is struggling. So
It's struggling.
you're
Yeah.
doing a good job.
Thanks, Aaron.
Kevin, any comment?
Just a confirmation, there's no meeting in July, so we meet again in August.
August, we'll meet.
And I just want to make one quick comment.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, we've heard that.
All right, you go ahead, and I'll go.
I just, one quick comment. I did talk to Cooper Standard in the Village of Leonard yesterday. Great group of people. They have offered to repair some of the split rail fence that has fallen upon age and time. They're going to repair some of it over their 4th of July shutdown. Not all of it. It all needs to be replaced. So they are going to figure out what they're going to be able to do, when they're going to be able to do it. I did offer them our gas-powered postal digger, and I have offered them a WAM crew. So if we can coordinate it on a Sunday, we may be taking a WAM crew up there. You know, I may be coming back in August and asking for some additional funding to maybe complete the project. They don't know where, when, how, or how much they're going to be able to do yet. So a split rail fence will be coming up on the list here shortly, but not till August. So just to keep you guys aware.
Okay, Linda, I'd like to request that you send the 5-year existing plan to the rest of council.
Yes.
If you have that, so they have it in
Yep.
their
I forgot it.
file. So, nothing else, a motion to adjourn at 4:27 is in order.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
A motion and second to adjourn the meeting at 4:27 PM. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good meeting.